Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order and take attendance. And so we will go, oh yeah, so Benny, you can see everyone who's here. I just want to remind everyone the meeting is being recorded. I think just to go around in an effort to continue getting to know each other, maybe we could do kind of a round robin. My question for you all this week is, what has been your favorite thing to cook this week during this shutdown? What's been your favorite thing to cook? And to give you all a minute to think about it, I will say, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Jordan, and there's a meal that called magluba, which is this elaborate meal of chicken and rice, and it takes half a day to cook, and I just absolutely love it. And I perfected it when I on the shutdown. So that was my meal. So I'm going to go in order as I see you on my screen, if that's okay. So I'm going to start with Jeremy.
I would have to say probably moose hamburgers. So I kind of perfected what we put into our moose burgers. So they are as organic as it gets.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
That would be my favorite thing.
Do you hunt your own moose?
Yeah, so I got a moose a couple of years ago in Maine, and we still have a little bit of hamburger left. So it was 925 pounds field dress.
Oh,
So
that's a lot of meat.
You must have a large freezer.
Yeah. So we split it with my dad up in Maine, so he has a big chest freezer too. So
Yeah.
so between the two of us, so yeah, that's probably my favorite thing. So.
All right, thank you. Sherry, go ahead.
I cook all the time. The pandemic has not changed that. This time of year, though, I mass produce giant pots of different kinds of soup so I can put them in my freezer. So on nights like tonight, when my husband's not home yet and we have to eat quickly, we just take out one of those 6 or 8 different types of soup that I make in the fall that we eat all winter long in a pinch. So I make a lot of homemade soup.
Great. Thank you. Kim.
I don't cook, to be 100% honest. My husband does all of the cooking. So, but I like Sherry actually did learn to make soup. So I've made a couple different kinds of soup and bread like everybody else.
Fantastic. I like it. Teresa.
Hi, I'm glad I'm not the only one that doesn't cook, but I love my Instapot, and I've been doing like drumsticks with barbecue sauce, which is like the easiest thing in the world, and everybody loves it, so I think it's a win.
Great. Sounds good. Let's see, Benny.
Similar to Sherry, I cook, so I get a CSA, a farm share over the summertime, which is like hilarious quantity of vegetables, just like so many. But what I do is I cook meals and freeze them. So I have a freezer full of like some random variety of different curries and roasted vegetables. And I made a thing that I like to call enchiladas, except that it bears like almost no resemblance to enchiladas. I'm vegan, and so it has no cheese and no meat, and also no tortillas because I didn't have any. So it's just like vegetables with enchilada sauce in a freezer container. Anyway, so I have lots of those things that I'll eat all winter probably, or at least for a little while. Also, not moose burgers, but veggie burgers. I have like 100 little veggie burger pucks that I just take out and cook them and eat them if I want them. So it's like what you all said, except vegan.
All right, Yana.
I'm not the best cooker, but I like to eat my mom's apple crisp that she's been making a lot.
Sounds fantastic. Jen.
Yeah, I don't really enjoy cooking, but I do cook for necessity. I probably roasted vegetables. I like the flavor of like the caramelization that roasted vegetables get.
All right, Colleen.
So I've been trying new recipes during quarantine. So I follow a couple chefs on Instagram. So I've been using the time to try them out on my boys, and so far pretty good. I made a curry, not a curry, a tikka masala, and I made like a pumpkin mac and cheese with spinach, and I was a little nervous about that one, but it went over really well. So like just hearty, hungry man stuff.
Yeah. Sounds good. Elizabeth.
So I'm actually cooking right now
Oh.
because I had a meeting earlier, and so I am doing two things at once. So right now I'm cooking tofu with a peanut sauce, and I'm going to roast some broccoli in the oven with olive oil and salt. And it's just one of my regular go-tos that I make frequently because I can make a lot of it and then heat it up later, and it's easy.
Sounds good. Amy, favorite thing that you've cooked during this quarantine?
I don't really cook.
And that's okay. If your favorite recipe is a takeout menu, that's okay too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And Maureen, I know, has kind of two things going on at the same time, but if you want to say your favorite thing.
I'm here. Hi, everyone. Maureen, she, her, hers. I think I'm part of team takeout, or team. My mom still drops off food for me because she loves me. But I will say that I bought a milk frother over COVID during the pandemic, and I have probably perfected making a cup of coffee in the morning, which has been a nice treat. I think breakfast foods have taken priority since I have time to make breakfast during the week. So good question, Maria.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. So I want to introduce two people who are on the call, Sarah Teague and Joe Gallagher. Nice to meet you both. They're here from Linfield, and they asked if they could sit in on the meeting today in the hopes of setting up a HRC in Linfield. So if either of you wants to say anything, you're welcome to. If you just want to observe, that's okay too, whatever you want to do.
I will just say hi. I'm Sarah. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate being here, and I hope that we can learn from all of you lovely people who've been working so hard for Wakefield's HRC. So thanks.
And this is Joe, he, his. Just wanted to echo what Sarah said. Thank you very much for the invite, and look forward to learning. Thank you.
Great. We're happy to have you here. Okay, so no other members of the public. And so moving on to approval of minutes. So if did anyone have any edits or changes that they wanted to make to the minutes from last month?
I sent mine in to Benny already.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sherry's. Also, it turns out that my computer autocorrects Doug Lyons' name to be spelled incorrectly. So I thank you, Sherry, for finding those.
All right. So hearing no other changes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, and a second? All right, Jen saw this second.
No, sorry, I actually had
sorry.
a comment on them because I was, so with the absent, should we be also saying that Chief Scory was absent because he's the other ex officio? Sorry, just a minor change.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I missed that. So yeah, if we could add him to the absent for as one of the ex officios, that would be great. Yeah, thanks, Jen.
Yeah, sorry. Then I can second.
What's his first name? Does it matter? Should I just put Chief Scory?
Yeah, I think Chief Scory is fine. Yeah. Okay, so going in order on my screen, Jeremy.
Yes.
Okay, Sherry.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
Yana.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Yana just gonna vote. Sorry about that. That's okay. No, that was my fault. Sorry about that.
Wait, I haven't been either. So
Benny?
do I count?
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Very full month, not yet sworn in.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Same, me too.
No worries. No worries.
Me too. I haven't been sworn yet. I went, but she went there. She wasn't
Oh,
there.
okay.
Oh,
Okay. And Amy.
Yes.
Okay.
and Colleen.
Colleen is a liaison, so she
Oh,
doesn't vote.
okay.
Yep.
okay.
Yep. So yeah, that was my fault with Yana. And okay, so those have passed. In terms of for agenda item number 4, the vision and values human rights representative. I guess before we go into it too much, we did, Kim already volunteered, but I wanted to see if anyone else is interested or wants to hear more about it before they think about whether or not they are interested. Just so we don't spend too much time on it. And just to give a very brief overview, what their town council is looking for is they want representatives from all of the boards in town to help form a vision and value statement for the town, which is kind of the foundation that they will use in putting together priorities for the town, both in terms of policy and in terms of budget. So that's what they're looking for. And Jonathan Chines is heading it up. And he had sent an email to all of the boards in town asking for a representative. So, so if everyone, unless anybody else is interested in doing it, Jen, go ahead.
I just had a question. So I don't think I have the time capacity to volunteer for that. I think it's an interesting project though. So I was wondering, do we as a board get to like review it and sort of sign off on it or make any comments before it goes final, or is it just the representative who has that opportunity?
I think there is going to be a public comment. This is definitely a multi-stage process. And I know one of the stages is for public comments for any member of the community to voice their opinions on it. I don't know how much of the product will have been put together or if they use the public comments to put a product together. But as a board, I don't know if we'll have a voice in that, but I can get more clarification around that if you want.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, like, if our whoever chooses to represent us, will they like report back to us and we'll get to maybe have some input along the way, I guess was sort of my.
Yeah, and I think we could definitely ask whoever does ultimately end up serving on this with this group that they do report back. Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. So last call. Any other volunteers other than Kim? And Kim, we definitely appreciate the volunteer. All right. All right. So do I have, I think this is something that we need to vote on. So do I have a motion for Kim to be the representative from the HRC?
I motion that Kim's our representative.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Okay. Jeremy, you're a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Sherry?
Yes.
Okay. Kim, I'm not gonna, yeah, I will ask for your vote. Yay.
I don't think I can vote, but I'm happy.
Vote, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You haven't been sworn in yet. That's right. Teresa?
Yes.
Okay. Benny?
Yes.
All right. Jen?
Yes.
And Amy?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So moving down our agenda for our anti-racism action updates. The first is our MLK event subcommittee. Benny, do you want to report on any developments?
Sure. We met one time so far, and we have been talking about What the theme of the event is going to be, it's still TBD. We're honing it. We're going to decide in our next meeting, I think. But we're sort of like starting from the basis of having a theme to build off of. We also talked about what from past events has been particularly moving, that we definitely want to keep or improve upon, and what new ideas we have for this year, especially considering COVID. Like, how are we going to do this event in COVID times?
Right.
So we had a whole bunch of like pretty exciting ideas, things such as, instead of having a service event where people all show up, you know, like to do a thing together, having some kind of service, what was it called? Like a, not a competition, but like a thing where you like can do a piece of service. Jeremy, do you know what I'm talking about?
So you mean the scavenger hunt, or the booklet? Like we had a couple ideas. So one
Yeah,
was
there's lots of ideas.
a directory of service, community service opportunities in not only Wakefield but the surrounding communities, which we're working on getting ideas for. We also had like encourage people to do it's basically like a virtual marathon, but a virtual service event. So leading up to the day, you know, do some sort of service event and capture it either as a video or photo or something like that. And then instead of being able to all gather as one huge group to do a service project, encourage the small groups, you know, families, whatnot, to do them and then log them, sort of like that. Right, Benny? Is that
Yeah, the thing where you can like post a picture of yourself and like, you know, have a little bit of a community feel about doing this project, except not actually be doing it all together.
Create a hashtag to go with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Hashtag. Yeah, and there was a scavenger hunt idea about like a project that maybe families can do, going around town and learning different things about either civil rights or, you know, I don't know, different relevant topics around town. We talked about having the event, you know, primarily be virtual, where people can tune in. Maybe there's like pre-recorded segments that, you know, that are part of it. So maybe we discussed maybe having the awards ceremony be more of a conversational feel, where it's like, what got you into doing this type of work? How did you get involved? You know, these kind of, instead of speeches, more conversations that bring people into it. So we've been talking about lots of different ways to adapt the event for COVID times. Should be pretty exciting. I will say that I emailed a couple people here already, and I invite anybody else, if you have ideas of places in town or around town who accept service or volunteer work, send us an email, because we're kind of compiling a list of those places so that we can then, you know, be providing a list of options. If we're telling people do service in your community, you know, to be able to say like, here are a bunch of really amazing places that that you can get involved with.
Mm-hmm.
That are accepting volunteers during COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And so with the plan, I think, is for us to compile this list like as comprehensive as we can make it, but then also contact the places and be like, hey, what are you doing right now? We're compiling this list for a service event in Wakefield. Are you taking volunteers? You know, just so that we're not giving people dead end leads. But
fantastic. In terms of, I know we had talked briefly about not like nominees, or we hadn't talked about nominees. We were talking about like what we were going to do around awards, and based on that decision, figure out in terms of nominees. Do you need me to post anything in terms of looking for nominations, or is that still too premature at this point?
I guess still too premature. We're going to be talking again. Jeremy, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to back you up that I think after the next meeting, directly after that would be when we can post, because I think we left it that we would finalize the theme and then base it around that. And right, I think it still leaves us enough time to get the nominations in. So.
And yeah, so we're probably going to be meeting the week after Thanksgiving at this point, because Thanksgiving week is not great. So I'll keep you posted.
All right. Sounds great. Does anybody have any questions?
Maria, can I just chime in for a second? This is me.
Sure.
It sounds so great. I feel like that was such a productive meeting. I think the one group I'd encourage you guys to reach out to, if you haven't already, is the Boys and Girls Club. So they did this great thing 2 years ago where they kind of made a tree with leaves about, you know, individual actions you could take, and they encourage people to take like a leave. And I think hanging in my house somewhere still is like plant a tree, or, you know, donate food. Like they had all of these things. And so if somebody reaches out to Anthony Guardia at the Boys and Girls Club, that I know they've been kind of active partners for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so that's a great point. One of my contacts in Stoneham is actually on the board of the Stoneham Wakefield Boys and Girls Club. So, and he also coordinates the Stoneham Martin Luther King celebration. So we are in touch with them. So, but I'll make sure we specifically capture the Wakefield Boys and Girls Club too. So
Perfect. Thanks, Jeremy.
I think the contact that we used last year was Bethany, but I don't know if she's still employed there.
While we're here together, are there other ideas? The places that, well, these are just places I have on my list. I don't know who Jeremy has on your list, but so far the people on the list that I have accumulated are the Mystic Valley Elder Services, the community dinners at Most Blessed Sacrament, Wakefield Food Pantry, maybe Friends of the BB, maybe Horizon House, maybe Communitas, Wakefield Metco, Family Friends Program. Who do people have other places just that come to you right now that I should put on this list to contact?
The senior center. That's a good way to do a lot of community type service.
Yeah, good one.
I know Mission of Deeds in Reading.
Yeah. Oh, another one, Amy, I think you mentioned this one was the warming center, which I don't know if they're open or not, but I'm going to look into it.
I don't know if Pause Wakefield takes volunteers. I know they take donations. But...
They're all volunteers.
Right.
They're all volunteers.
Like a single day volunteer versus like somebody who.
Well, but we could have different categories too, where it's like things you can do just on one occasion, things that you can do more long-term, you know what I mean?
Yep.
If you're going to contact Pause, Nancy Tollison is a really good person to talk to.
Nancy Tollison?
Yes. Yeah. Tolleson. She's also involved with the book sale for the Friends.
For the BB, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can always use people to help clean cages, even for one day.
Cool. If other ideas strike you, definitely send them to any of us who are on the subcommittee, me, Jeremy, Teresa, who else is on it? Faith. Nicole.
All right, great. Thanks, Penny. Faith is not here tonight, so there's no update right now from the Black Student Union. I have been, we've been trying to schedule a meeting, myself and Glavia from Metco and Angela Driggers, who is the supervisor for the Black Student Union. And we keep missing each other in terms of scheduling a meeting. So I think hopefully between now and next month's meeting, we'll have set something up. And I think I'll probably invite them to join us at next month's meeting if they wanna do that. So, so more to come on that. Yana, are there any updates from the Youth Council that you want to, I know there was the presentation last month to the school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good. We haven't heard anything back from the school committee yet, but so it's good. It's like progress, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that's all we have done so far. Yeah. I know we're having another meeting soon, so we might bring it up again to see.
Great. Yeah, and if anyone hasn't seen the presentation, the Youth Council really did a phenomenal job about presenting about the about changing the high school mascot. And it was really just incredibly well researched. And they really did such a thorough job of educating themselves and presenting kind of the conversations that they had had with people from Indigenous populations and former alumni of the high school, talking about research that they had done. So it really was incredibly thorough, and I was so impressed with the presentation. So if anybody wants to take a look at it, I can send you a link. I can't remember what it was at one of the school committee meetings. I can't remember which date, but I can find the link and send it out if people would be interested in watching it. So yeah, thank you for doing that. Okay, so the next one is the library collaboration. And just to explain a little bit about this Commit to Your Community event. So the library got this grant to do kind of building compassion in a community, and they are, what they're doing is they're, in this particular stage that they're in, they are picking one particular issue and talking about how creating more understanding leads to compassion and builds strength in the, like builds more of a sense of community. And for this particular time, for this stage, the topic that they're using, that they're hoping to discuss is around homelessness. And they have someone who is kind of a national expert on homelessness who's going to be giving a keynote speech, but what they were hoping to have is a panel to talk about it on a more of a local level. So they had reached out to us to see if we had any thoughts about people that could potentially, that we could reach out to for the panel. They were also hoping to maybe jointly put on an event with us, probably in February. So I wanted to bring it to this group to see if people had ideas of who we could reach out to. I know one of you works specifically with homeless populations and might have a wide variety of resources on that. No pressure, Benny. But yeah, if anybody had any thoughts, please speak up.
I'm definitely game to, you know, collaborate around this. I work in homelessness. That's my field of, that's my profession. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what, what we necessarily need or want to talk about now, but I'm definitely game to be involved in collaborating on that event.
Yeah, and I think at this point, I don't think we need to talk about anything real substantive. I think they were just looking for people that we could reach out to, people or organizations that might have something to contribute in terms of talking about the issue of homelessness. So I can certainly add your name to the list and CC you on the email back to the library and see if there are, if they want to get in touch with you directly, or if you have thoughts that you want to share with them. That would be a great help. Another group that I might contact is Horizon House in Wakefield to see if they have other thoughts and suggestions to offer.
Yeah, do you want me to like send you ideas that you can send in this email to the library, or do you just want to tell them to contact me and we can talk about it, or what's the best way to do it?
Let me get in touch with them and see what would be easiest for them, if that's all right. But yeah, that would be great. Anyone else?
If you want, I could see if someone from Elliott Path is available to either offer ideas or assist, because they're who we go to for our local homeless to help get them housing.
Okay, and it's Elliott Path, you said?
Yeah, it's Elliott Community Human Services, and it's the PATH team. And if you ask me what that stands for, I can't tell you, but
okay, that's all right. Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Sorry, I see that there's a few things in the chat. I just want to make sure. Oh, thank you for the links to the presentation, if anybody wants to take a look at that. And I can send out a follow-up email with the notes. Or actually, Benny, if you wouldn't mind putting it in the notes so that when you send them out to everyone that they can link to the presentation. Would that be okay? Okay, great. Okay, so the next one, the active bystander training, just a quick update. I did get in touch with her and she said the next step is to let her know some dates in January that that might work for everyone. So this is one of the few exceptions to the open meeting law, is that we can email back and forth in terms of scheduling dates. And I know this is going to be put out to the broader community. So I will probably send an email in the next week for ideas from people in terms of like nights of the week that work best. We don't need to nail down a specific date, and if not everyone can come, then no one from this group is required to come. But I just wanted to see if you do want to come, what would be the best night of the week for everyone. So I will get back to you on that for the Quabbin mediation. Does anybody have any questions or anything about that before I move on? All right. And then just also an update in terms of moving on to chair's comments. The electronic storage for the HRC documents is still a work in progress. IT is working on a couple different ideas for this, but I'm waiting for them to, they said they're coming up with a couple different options and they're going to get back to me once they have the complete list of those options, and they'll let me know. So nothing set yet. So we will get our we will get our storage soon, hopefully. And the next one for book readings for the upcoming year, Mayreen, I don't know if you want to talk about that, or if you, I'm happy to talk if you're occupied. I don't know.
Do you mind talking? Sorry,
Nope.
I'm
Nope.
also multitasking.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So Mayreen had, in light of the book readings that we did for Pride and the ones we did for Indigenous Peoples Day, had a suggestion in terms of having, continuing those book readings and also adding them for Black History Month, and wanted to see what people's thoughts were about continuing that process, and if you have additional months that we want to try and do, or have a discussion around doing book readings like that. So wanted to open it up for people's ideas and thoughts about that.
I love it. I think it's a great idea. I think it keeps us, it kind of creates a series for us, as Kim, I think, mentioned last time, that we can kind of continue to capitalize on and have people almost look forward to. I mean, we could have done it for Diwali. So I think there's all sorts of things we could do it for if we plan for it.
And once our communications committee can meet, which probably will not happen until the beginning of the year, we can start putting together a potential calendar. And we have gaps between our larger events, and these would be wonderful ways to insert more programming into the year. And I volunteer to read anytime. I love reading out loud.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Obviously, I wasn't on the committee when you did the first set, but you know, I think that I've seen some of them online. I think they went over really well. And even if we don't hit everything the first year, it allows us next year to fill in the gaps. So don't be afraid if we miss a month or you know, certain event. Just make sure we capture it in our notes, right, Jen? Like you mentioned, you just mentioned one we could have already done. So we should just capture it and add on to them. Like you said, it'll be a series that people will look forward to, and it will be tagged to this, you know, commission as you know, something, like you said, people will look forward to, the students and you know, the playbacks on the site too.
Elizabeth, go ahead.
I think this is a fun project, and I would just want to raise a point of caution that I'm feeling, which is that I think that it is really important to think about who is in our community and remember who's in our community, and not be engaging in celebrations of holidays or festivals that don't belong to us. And sometimes that may mean that we have to say, hey, here's something coming up. Let's see if there's anyone in our community who celebrates this and wants to share it with the larger community. And if we don't get anybody who does, then we need to let it go and not celebrate it on our own.
But isn't part of our mission also to educate people about what might not be so familiar to them?
I think that's true, but I think that there's a difference between education and celebration of sacred traditions and sacred festivals that we don't own and that aren't in our community. And we walk a really fine line in that. And I want us to always be aware of it and be cautious so that we are not celebrating festivals that do not belong to us.
It's an important point to consider. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, and we can talk, or the communications subcommittee can certainly can talk about this more. I think initially to start, seeing as we've already done Pride and Indigenous Peoples Month, maybe continuing with those and also doing something for Black History Month, some readings around that. And I like the idea, Elizabeth, of reaching out to the community to see if there are members of the community who want to be involved, whether it's in picking books or reading books. I love the inclusivity of that. So if people have some strong opinions in terms of additional, whether it's celebrations or months of recognition that we would want to do a reading for, you can either let me know now or you can send an email, and we can follow up on that. Okay. And then beyond that, are there any other matters that were not anticipated prior to the meeting that anybody wanted to bring up? Sherry?
Yes, I have Yana's beautiful artwork ready to go, but we haven't really developed a plan for distributing, reproducing and distributing. And I noticed in my walk through town this week that the Wakefield kiosk now have big COVID-19 on one side, and on the other side, the history map. So there isn't room for our artwork in that place, which is one of the places we were thinking about. But even in terms of asking the business community, the chamber is not meeting live these days. So if we made copies, how would they be distributed? So I'm concerned that where can we send these? How can we distribute them? How can we make sure that they get the visibility that they deserve?
Yep. So in terms of the town, in terms of the kiosks, I did get in touch with Steve Mayo, and he said we can absolutely send them to Jen McDonald, and she can, she could post them in the kiosks. We can also, if Yana is okay with it, we can put it on our website, and she can help us with that. Jen McDonald can help us with that. Regarding the businesses, I think we would need to figure out, or would we be asking the businesses to print them, or would we print them ourselves? If it's in terms of distributing them, I'm more than happy to go to businesses and pass them out.
I would be willing to do the same. I just didn't know if that was something that the commission would like us to do. I mean, because there's some businesses in town that even to this day are pretty visible in high traffic,
right?
Like Cravings, and they post many things. And I would have, because I walk around town so much, it wouldn't be a problem for me to be able to. But I think that if that's the case, then we should make some. I know we have some funds that we can use. We should make some. We have to make copies, then color copies. If you just go to Staples and it's on a good quality paper, it's probably about 60 cents each.
Okay.
Paper that's going to hold up for a while.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. So Sherry, why don't you and I talk either after this or later within the next couple of days and figure out the logistics of that, and then we'll get them distributed.
Yeah, because I have them already. And in fact, one of them is going to be part of our orientation tonight. I included it
Oh,
as one of
great.
our graphics. So
Fantastic. Oh, good. Well, thank you. And congratulations, Yana.
Maria, can I just add a little asterisk to you and Sherry and Yana working on that? Is that the town has hired a community and economic development manager.
Right.
And we were very purposeful about putting community in the name with the hopes that she would work with all the, it was my hope at least that she would work with kind of the commissions and committees and the nonprofits in the group. And so I think if there's a way you could reach out to Erin and talk to Erin too, because I think she, you know, the hope is that she would be building those relationships with businesses and, you know, the nonprofits like the library once it's open again. So in addition to talking to Jen about the kiosk, maybe just, you know, introduce yourself to Erin, because I think that's a great collaboration for future about she can be the network into the businesses. So as much as you and Sherry are great at it, we can use a town official to help you.
Great. All right. Thank you for the suggestion. That's a
Erin,
great idea.
what's Erin's last name?
I knew you were going to ask that. Let me look it up and send it to you. And I believe she started this week. So let me find her last name and send it to you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Any other matters to discuss? All right, Benny, do you, I don't know that we had a lot of action items this week, but do you want to go over what we have?
Yes, what I have so far is that, let's see, Maria's going to email the library about us working with them on that homelessness panel event thing or whatever it is. And I can be involved in that. And also, I think Amy said she was going to send you either the info for the Elliott Path, someone on the Elliott Path team, or connect you with them or something. Let's see. Maria, you said you were also going to send an email to choose dates for the active bystander training. And Maria and Sherry are going to touch base about the logistics of getting those posters printed for the area businesses. And Marina's going to send us the name and info for the community and economic development manager. Those are the only ones that I caught. I don't know if there was other ones that I missed.
I think that was everything. And obviously the subcommittees are doing their own work, and we'll check in at next month's meeting about those. So, all right. So we are right on schedule. I wanted to try and keep the main part of the meeting a little on the shorter side, so there was enough time for the new member training. So for anyone that wants to stay, everyone who is on is welcome to stay. For members that have already been on the HRC for a while and kind of know the ropes and everything like that, please feel free. If you want to hop off, that's totally fine. And enjoy the extra time that you get back. Otherwise, I will hand it over to Sherry and Jen to do the onboarding training.
And let's hope the technology does what it was supposed to do.
That's right.
Let's see. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And can you, is everyone still going to be shown on the top of the screen, or is it just going to be showing the slides? How are we going to do this? We can see any faces.
Each person can choose for themselves how they want the faces to be displayed.
Okay. So let's see. Oh, come on. Now I can't see the top of my screen is so small. Now I can't see the view bar. Okay. Come on, view bar. Oh, dear. I have the I actually have the Zoom menu on top is I'm going to stop to share for a second because the Zoom menu on top is blocking my toolbar. So I can't. So let me get my thing.
It blocks like
icon.
just the segment that you need when
Oh,
you're
it's
trying
blocked,
to.
you know, and I can't get it to stop blocking it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maybe if I do Control V, is that nope? Anyone have any suggestions on how I can get this toolbar to move?
Can you?
Could do F11 and put it in full screen mode.
Okay, let's try that. Oh, see, no, that doesn't work on this computer. That's the other thing. I'm working on a Surface Pro. It does not work. So I am trying to, maybe, let me see. So it's not going to be.
You could put it in presentation mode and then share your screen. Maybe not though.
Okay, I'm going to try another thing. My husband just yelled at me in the background. Let me see if I can do that.
Just minimize it. You don't have to get out of it. Just minimize it.
Shoot, I'm not in the right place.
You want me to try sharing?
It's not minimizing, Reed.
Sherry, do you want me to try to share instead?
See if you, yeah, maybe because I can't get the toolbar to get out of the way. So Jen is going to now have to be the person who is, I'm going to stop the share. Okay. Darn, I thought I had it.
It's okay. We'll try. Let me stop sharing so I can share. Oh, I can't. It says host disabled, participant sharing.
Yep, I'm trying to make you a co-host. Okay. All right, I have made you a co-host, so you should be able to share.
Fantastic. Back up to the top.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, can you all see that?
Excellent. Okay.
Looks good.
That's our very colorful first slide designed by Jen. Okay, moving on. We're really pleased to welcome all of the newest members of the Human Rights Commission. It's really a pleasure to be fully staffed again with everyone. The purpose of the program today is to prepare you to be effective commissioners. You've been, or should have been, provided already with a policies and procedures document, information about the Massachusetts open meeting laws, and of course you've been coming to a few meetings. But this orientation is intended to provide more than just the facts of what the HRC is and what we do. It's also an onboarding, and what that is a way to familiarize you a little bit with the culture of the WHRC, the nuances of how we work together as a body and individuals who represent our community. So in short, we're here to help you hit the ground running.
Okay. So the orientation is going to sort of follow these questions on the screen, but we'll talk along with it. So, why was the HRC created? It was actually Bill Chetwynd, who was a member of who was a Wakefield resident. He was a former member of the school committee. He was very active with WAVE, Wakefield Alliance Against Violence, and other charitable groups, and also very instrumental in the Boys and Girls Clubs. And he noted that although there were programs that promoted acceptance and diversity within the schools, no such programs were really available to the general community. So he was passionate in his desire to increase diversity in the community and celebrate it, to protect the rights of citizens and promote conversations of all sorts of human rights issues. So he formed a group in 2015, an action group, which consisted of Bill Chetwynd, representatives of the school administration, the police commissioner, town council, town manager, Steve Mayo, and others. And they received approval to form the HRC, establish some basic policies and procedures, and which continues to evolve. And then in November 2015, the Wakefield Human Rights Commission held its first meeting.
It's their anniversary right now.
Yeah, it's our
anniversary
this month. So,
yes.
So that should cover sort of why it was created, how and when it was formed, and by whom. So we are confident that, you were drawn to participate in the HRC because of our mission to foster a welcoming and safe community for all. And you can see our mission statement on the slide there as well.
Now, since you've already been participating, I think you have some sense of who the members of the HRC is. And we have this little diagram, because graphics always make it a little bit easier, this little chart. You can see we have 11 voting members of the commission, and 8 of these voting members are appointed by the town council and the school committee. And we have 3 special commissioners. The chief of police appoints 1 member of the police force. The superintendent appoints our student member, and the clergy council selects their representative. Eligibility for how are we appointed, how are you eligible? The candidates are publicly solicited from the community. Whoops, I lost my speaker. Hold on. Okay, here we go. And the reason they do this is they're trying to form a body that is representative of our community. When you apply and become a member of the commission, you must be a citizen of Wakefield at the time of appointment, except for the specialized appointments. But if you move after this appointment, you still can continue to work with us. Typically, applications are reviewed and interviews are conducted by the chairs of the town council, the school committee, and the WHRC. Sitting commissioners, it didn't happen this year, but often are given an opportunity to review the application and submit some comments, and then a vote is taken upon the candidates under consideration. And we congratulate all of you for being favorably considered. Once you're appointed, you need to be sworn in by the town clerk. So if you haven't already, please do this. And then you're required to complete the state conflict of interest ethics course. It's an online course. Do this as well. It will take you about an hour and a half, and have a cup of coffee by your side when you're doing this. Once you've completed those, your next responsibility really is to review the policies and procedures document, which really does encourage you to participate as fully as possible in the activities of the commission in the fulfillment of our mission. So never hesitate to raise your hand. We need all people on deck. Jen?
Yeah, so the voting members who are appointed by the town council and school committee typically serve 3-year terms. We do have I think there's a policy for a max of 2 consecutive 3-year terms, unless somebody vacates early. The clergy member usually serves 1 year, and then sometimes they have served more than 1 year, but that's at the discretion of the clergy. The student member may also serve 1 or 2 years at the discretion of the superintendent. And the police department member serves at the discretion of the chief of police. So Amy has been with us since the beginning. She's the family services officer. The reason we have term limits is to ensure that we remain a representative body and open to new ideas. All terms typically end in April, again, unless someone vacates early and we have to fill open seats in the off cycle. And each year in the spring, the voting members nominate and vote on our officers, which are the chair, vice chair, and typically a secretary/treasurer role. We also have 3 ex officio members, the town manager, the police chief, and the school superintendent. Those were some of those folks who came together to form the HRC way back 5 years ago. And so they continue to be invited to all of our meetings, or on all our messages, or on our emails, and sometimes attend meetings as well. We also have our town council, school committee, and youth council liaisons who are, attend and provide input. And support and participate as we do. They just are not voting members. And so one other thing about our body is that, our role is to encourage conversation through programming and distributing information. We do not typically get involved, intervene in a conflict. We encourage parties to speak to one another, referring people to the town or the police as needed. We may be asked to provide advice on like discrimination complaints, things like that. We've certainly helped connect people with groups like the Anti-Defamation League if we need to bring in people to provide more information or give presentations. But we are not expected to act as a human or civil rights attorneys ourselves. That's not our role. But we do have the support of our town council, our town attorney, who also serves as a counsel to the commission. And we also collaborate with groups and organizations with similar missions in and outside of Wakefield. So that's just a little bit about the HRC. We kind of said we could take questions, I think, throughout, and we definitely have a spot for questions at the end, but if you have a question, let us know.
Okay. We've already mentioned that how our meetings are scheduled and announced, and we typically meet on the third Tuesday evening of each month, and we occasionally do skip a summer meeting, although not this summer, a very unusual summer. A minimum of 3 days in advance of our meeting, the chairperson, with input from the commissioners, develops an agenda and sends it to the town administrator and posts it publicly. That's bottom line, 3 days. Once the commissioners approve their meeting minutes, which are prepared by our secretary, they're also publicly posted on the website. This is all about open meetings. Additionally, if you're on a subcommittee and subcommittees need to work, they have to adhere to the same kinds of same requirements. They have to announce their meetings 3 days in advance and make sure that they do it properly using the special template that's provided by, usually it's Sherry Dalton, one of our administrators of the town. Now, this is a very interesting little sub-fact. A maximum of 5 voting commissioners may serve on any subcommittee, but we can have an unlimited number of volunteers from outside. And part of this, I think, is to make sure that the work is more evenly distributed and no one is overburdened, but also allows for the participation of outside volunteers. As you know, we're currently meeting by Zoom like everyone else, and the town in this case has chosen to record all of our virtual meetings. When we are able to meet live, we'll meet in the town hall, and those meetings won't be recorded except in our written minutes. Again, we abide by those state open meeting laws, and once you go through your training, you'll see what all of that involves. And the public is very welcome to attend our meetings, and we always give them a few minutes at the beginning of the meetings to comment. On a very rare occasion, the public might be asked to leave the meeting because we have to go into an executive session, but our meetings otherwise are totally open. We use basic Robert Rules of Order, which dictate basic courtesy and procedures, and votes are conducted when we have a quorum of the majority of our voting members, which would be 6. Now, this part is not on your screen, and this is very, very important. Every one of you has a voice, and you're encouraged to respectfully express your thoughts and opinions. Do not be shy about speaking up. And there are some nuances to this. So when you're participating in discussions and deliberations, first of all, you need to come to these meetings. It's very important. This is part of your obligations to attend and represent us and help us be representative of our whole community. And when you're there, pay attention, be truly present. Please don't multitask. Pay attention to the meeting and be informed. Read things that are sent to you in advance. When you're at these meetings, be very open to whatever the outcomes may be, even if you don't agree, because when a decision is made by the commission, we speak as one outside the meeting. The other thing that's very important is you speak the truth. Your opinion really does matter. But in concert with that, you have to attend to the safety of others. In other words, do no harm to others on the commission, other individuals in the community. And please keep in mind that your public speech may be construed as speech of the representative of our commission. And last but not least, as you've all noticed, there is no silent voting. You can't just nod. You have to say yay or nay. You can't just nod. You have to speak. You have to use your voice. Jen?
So, in terms of communication, I'm sure I just gave you some tips. We just want to say that we communicate honestly and respectfully under all circumstances. We do have a number of tools available to us to communicate both with each other and outside, including our email account, and we often email each other. as it pertains to meetings and in accordance with open meeting laws, of course. We use our website to communicate with the public, and our Facebook page, and which are managed by a few designated members of our commission. Our chair also currently manages our email, and we also sometimes try to monitor other pages for discussions relative to the HRC when we can. We do not individually engage on social media on matters relative to the HRC. We can speak as our own people, but not on behalf of the HRC unless we've all taken a vote and come together and spoken. And as a body, we do not engage in partisan politics. We do invite the public to our meetings, as Sherry had already mentioned, and they can speak directly or may be called upon. We certainly engage with the public at our events. And another way we communicate is by submitting written materials and photos to local publications. And sometimes we've invited press or written articles to cover our events. We have this bullet on where do we store our records. It's become a priority as we've matured. We do store our minutes and agendas on the town website as when we send those to Sherry Dalton. And we are compiling documents, graphics, and other resources to try to create a more centralized storage system on Google Drive. And that's a work in progress. And that has become increasingly important as our activities increase, which is what's next.
Because we have done so much in just 5 years. We really have. Everyone knows about our annual signature events, the MLK Day, International Women's Day, and Pride Month, but there's been so much else. We've organized or co-produced anti-violence and anti-bias programs, book discussions at the library. We even had a speaker series with the Unitarian Universalist Church. We're concerned that all citizens of Wakefield, whether they're new to the community or they've been around for a while, feel welcome and included. And we actually have heard from community members at these meetings about that particular topic. So to that end, we try to participate as much as we can in events like Wakefield 101 and the Farmers Market to try to make people feel more welcome and included. In the past, this is before my time here, that we have advocated for statewide or local human rights issues. We're currently working, as you've heard, on some graphic messaging, and you'll see one of those coming up that represent different principles that we believe would help to unify the community and make people open to discussions. We've had discussions about changing the high school athletic logo, which we determined was really under the purview of the school committee and the student committees. But in October, in respect for that issue, we had our very first Indigenous People Day program. Jen will tell you more.
Right. So we do use, in terms of like promoting all of our events, we use our website, our Facebook page, and the services of the town. So that sometimes the town will help cross promote our events. We broadcast we do have a mailing list. We've posted flyers. We've cross-posted with other community organizations. We've submitted things through the school newsletters and local publications as well, like the Item or Patch. And most important for most of our events is word of mouth. We use all these same methods to recruit our volunteers as well. People often ask how they can be of help when attending our events, so they can certainly help us on any of our subcommittees to plan events. They can help with registration or event receptions when we go back to doing things in person, helping to just promote and share our events online, and again, word of mouth, pass things along for us. In terms of funding, we do have a budget, which was approved by the town for our expenditures. I think, Marion, has it been 2 years, I think, that we've had a budget? Or maybe we just came to the end of our first year of having a budget. If we do spend that money, we need to seek approval for that. And we also have to approve accepting any donations that come into us. And if we do make expenditures, we need to submit our reimbursements through the town administrator's office to get reimbursed. And in terms of where we store our materials, right now it's sort of in individual commissioners' homes. We had been exploring a central location for physical storage with the town right before COVID. So we are still sort of exploring that and hoping that we can get some space, because we have some bins of materials, tablecloths, and things like that for some of our events.
And flags and buttons and
Right.
posters and so much else.
Brochures and things like that.
Yes.
I think we had
So-
a question from Nicole.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Hi, yes. I just wanted to know, so if a member wanted to just buy something for the HRC, are we allowed to do that, or all expenditures, like everything, we need to be reimbursed, or how does that, or write it off as a donation? How does that work?
Are you saying buying something on our behalf or buying something that you want to donate?
Well, say like we needed food for an event and I decided to buy cupcakes for it. Am I allowed to do that without reporting it, or it has to be reported no matter what? Or
If you're not asking to be reimbursed for something of that sort,
mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any problem at all. But we
Okay.
recently did receive a sizable cash donation from a local business, and we had to ask permission to accept that donation. And we also have to ask permission on how to use money like that if it's not for usual purposes, the things that we ordinarily would do that they expect us to do. But if you want to bake, great.
Maria, did you want to? I feel like you've been our treasurer longer, so I don't know if you have a better answer. Not a better. That's not implying that the answer wasn't good, Sherry.
Well, I'm a newbie, so Maria, can you add to
I'm
that?
happy to chime in on that. So if it's something, I guess it depends in advance if we have agreed that you're going to bring food to a particular event, so we know that expense is going to be incurred for an event. You could pay for it up front, and then you would just hand in the receipt and contact Sherry Dalton with a copy of the receipt and ask for the reimbursement. I think if you showed up with a dozen cupcakes, I don't think it would be an issue. If you showed up with 12 dozen cupcakes, it might be something that we would reimburse you kind of retroactively. But yeah, it kind of depends on the situation.
This slide sort of speaks for itself, because there's no limit who we can, will, and hope to interact with. This includes elected leadership, including our town council, school committee, especially when it comes to recruiting and appointing members of the commission. We interact with town personnel, including the town hall administrative staff, the DPW, the public safety department, police and fire, especially when we have public events, the recreation department, the town council, and others for maintaining our records. We also interact with organizations such as the library, the Pride of Wakefield, Metco, the schools, religious groups, the Board of Health, Cultural Council, the chambers, anyone we can for developing and presenting the best possible programming. We will work with whoever shares our mission, regardless of political views. I have to say that again. And we encourage you to suggest other possibilities for engaging and collaborating with any number of groups who share our mission.
And we can add to that list Erin Kokinda, our community development director now.
That's right. That's why this is an evolving. Yeah. we put the questions up on the screen and the general topics, but the copy, the things that we're saying, can change as things change. This is what we know now. Jen?
Yeah. So in terms of all these resources, we either have or are in the process of developing or hope to develop all of these resources listed here to assist you and kind of, this is some of the things we mentioned when we're trying to gather information for our centralized materials. And if you have something that you think would be useful that's not listed here, please let us know. Something else I think Sherry has mentioned in the past is, we did celebrate our 5-year anniversary and feel like we need to create a more comprehensive archive so that our work is recorded for benefit. So that's something we'll also be working on so that we all don't have to reinvent the wheel every year. and can
And I-
build on past information.
And I want to point out, the Stronger Together is a sample of Yana's artwork. And on the bottom, it says a message from, and it's our logo, and then her name.
Okay.
Credit where credit's due.
So, I mean,
Okay.
this is sort of the end of what we've shared, but, you know, thinking obviously for new commissioners, if you have any questions, and then, you know, in the future, also think about what we might not be doing that you want to, you know, how we can expand or grow and change. So.
We also are interested in hearing if you think there was something we didn't cover. This is the beta test for this particular orientation. If there's something that you think we could cover differently, better, more thoroughly, or leave out, please let us know. And we're also very interested in hearing, just to know more about you, what were your expectations when you decided you'd like to be a commissioner? Because that certainly makes a difference in how we move forward. So it's your turn to talk, and I'm going to actually mute myself, which is hard to do because I talk a lot.
I think I can probably stop sharing so I can see everyone again.
Come on, be honest, give us some feedback.
Well, I don't know. Were we thinking that we would discuss sort of changes or things to this at the next meeting, Maria, or do we want to take feedback now? I think we talked about sending out.
I mean, certainly, if anyone has anything like that's top of mind right now that they would like to say, you're absolutely welcome to do that. If there's things that you want to just kind of mull over and save to the next meeting, that's okay too. One thing that just came to mind for me as you were listing the resources, one of the things that I'm doing is putting together a document for the next, it's kind of a transition document from the prior chair to the next serving chair, because I think there are things that were helpful to me that would have been great to have all in one place, like the email password and the voicemail password and different things like that. So you can add that to the list of resources of something that I'm putting together that's a working document that I will have ready by the time the next chair comes in April. So that was one thing. And
I think like I said, we need like the 3 bullet point list of how to schedule a meeting. So that it will be, Yep, and I take ownership for that communication lapse too, so I apologize for that.
Maybe just a comment. I think the length is very good. I think the one thing that will help a lot for new commissioners when we come on board is when we have that place for the central documents. There's one thing I noticed before our first meeting, or even between the first and second meeting, I've tried to go into our website and sort of pull up some things that have been done in the past, and it's not as easy as it maybe could be. So I think it will become very useful for new members or new commissioners to be able to go back and see the historical documents or ideas and things like that. So I think a very user-friendly document reserve is something that will benefit us and go along with your presentation, right? So if you have the presentation as first and foremost on wherever we end up putting things, then I can go slide per slide and kind of pull back old examples or things that have been done in the past too. So just to be immersive, but I think this is a great formal start for an onboarding presentation. So kudos to you guys for putting it together.
And I'm glad that you felt the length was good, because we really tried to keep it as brief as possible, because we're all looking at too many slides and your eyes start glazing over, and there was so much information. And the thing is, we will make this script available also within the archives, the details of this presentation. We'll give you the note sheets with the, of the orientation as well, so you can look over it again. And some of the things like I put on here is, guidelines for taking minutes. I mean, there are certain things that you have to include and certain things that you don't necessarily need to include and probably should not include in minutes. So there's some basics of that. And the same thing with the Roberts rules. I have a cheat sheet. It's a little chart. And we'll put that in there so people know what it means when you vote and when you make an amendment to an amendment and the process for doing that. And of course, I know that this year, I've only been in the commission since May, and we were having difficulty finding artwork and logos and the names of vendors we use. So this is the kind of thing we really hope to have in one centralized place so that, as Maria said, the transition, not just from chairman to chairman, but commissioner to commissioner is smooth. And start now, because after 5 years, it gets more complicated.
That is definitely true.
Yeah. Now, where are all the extra flags? That's what I want to know. We have a lot of Pride Day flags.
I have like 20 in my basement.
Okay, and probably 20 in someone else's basement. And we need these things in one place that anyone on the commission who needs to have access to can get them. Oh, and photos. That was one of the things that we really didn't talk about. A lot of people take photos, but they're not all in one place. So we're hoping that somebody in this group in particular wants to be, maybe we need a formalized position for archivists year to year. Someone who just makes sure everything gets where it's supposed to get.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
And I do now have a background slideshow from Steve Mayo on the formation of the commission. So we even have now a document. I'm sorry about the phone ringing in the background. A document that talks about how the WHRC formed. Okay, his phone's being picked up. Okay.
So in terms of next steps, I mean, we can send the slides, you know, I don't know if we want to make those small changes first and then sort of reply once the minutes are sent, reply to all. And so you have those. And then maybe on the next meeting, because I think that was one of the things we talked about maybe having on this meeting was to sort of get feedback once people have a chance to like read it over, like look at it on their own time and give us any feedback of anything that's flow is, you know, whatever the feedback might be. I even noticed a couple things. I'm like, that seemed out of place for me, you know, so, but we can always improve, but maybe have some time on the next agenda to talk through with more detail, any additional feedback.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If you want to add whatever edits either you yourselves saw as you were doing the presentation or any edits that came up that people have commented on. One quick thing, Nicole, I don't know if I just saw a hand up. I don't know if that was from your previous question or if you had another comment. Okay. Okay. Just checking. Didn't want you to be left out.
The bottom line is, please let us know if this is helpful to you as a new commissioner. I know I came in and I didn't have this, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted this so much and was willing to work on it. Is this going to be helpful to you? And in which ways can we make it more helpful?
I think it was great seeing the presentation and just having it available. I mean, I know I looked up things and I read things too, and I knew the programs and things that you guys have been working on, but it was good to just kind of see it all together. So it was very helpful for me.
And colorful.
Yes.
We tried to make it very colorful.
It's very, very colorful. It's nice.
Okay, well.
Curious to know Joe's first opinion on it, given that he's from, you know, not from our commission, you know. So I think Joe is, not to put him on the spot, and if you don't want to comment, Joe, fine, but I'm just curious to know your thoughts on seeing that as having no sort of background to our commission except for what you might have read or heard from Maria.
You know, I mean, overall, I'd say very impressive. You know, Sarah and I think Sarah had to drop off. But Sarah and I, are in the very early stages of creating a similar HRC for Linfield. I can only hope that maybe in a few years we're at your level of organization. We just last week, I think, joined the call with Massachusetts level group of HRCs in the area. I don't know if anybody here had joined that call, but it's kind of fascinating to see the kind of common issues of, what's the purpose of the HRC? Is it advocacy? Is it communication? Like, how do our roles overlap with the police or intersect with them? So, I mean, it's very helpful. I especially like the idea of onboarding document. I mean, at this point, we're in the early stages, so anybody in Linfield who would join would, be onboarded. But I really, it was very interesting to see, and great organization, great outreach to the community, and great, there's kind of a lot of templates, and that over the years you're able to kind of build on the previous years of experience and resources, and communication with the community. So thank you very much for the invite. And I was saying to Maria and to Maureen via email before, that it's very helpful. I think we were able to answer kind of half our questions now, and there are a couple of, other questions, Maria, I might just reach out to you via email. And, I just want to be sensitive to everybody's time. I mean, we're very curious about, HRCs in the area. So again, just thank you very much. Very impressive, and really appreciate it.
And we actually should give a shout out to all the people that came before us, because there were so many wonderful folks on the commission who brought us to the point we're at today.
That's absolutely true. Thank you for acknowledging them. And all right. So if no one else has any comments, I think we are at the end of our meeting. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. And
Seconded.
second. All right. So I have a different order on my screen now. So I will go Teresa.
Yes.
All right. Jen.
Yes.
Sherry.
Yes.
Benny.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Nicole.
Yes.
And yes, for myself. Elizabeth, we will get you sworn in. You can be a voting member next month. And so I think we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying a little later, and have a great night.
Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Be safe.
Yes.
Be smart. Be
Absolutely.
safe.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.